In 1785, a British doctor watched a plant stop a dying woman's heart from failing. 90 years later, doctors realized the same plant, off by a fraction of a gram, could stop a healthy heart completely. That plant is still legal. It might be growing in a garden near you right now. This is a list of 15 herbs ancient physicians swore by. Herbs modern clinical trials have quietly confirmed actually work. But there's a reason your doctor won't just hand you the raw plant and it's not what you think. Stick around, because number 2 on this list is the actual plant aspirin was extracted from, and the reason we abandoned the real thing is one of the strangest detours in medical history. Subscribe, we post deep dives on traditional medicine every week. What holds up, what doesn't, and why your doctor makes the calls they do. Number 1. Turmeric, the golden root. Let's start with the one already in your kitchen. Turmeric has been used in Ayurvedic and Chinese medicine for thousands of years. Digestive trouble, skin conditions, respiratory disease. Researchers isolated the active compound, curcumin, and found it works on multiple levels inside your cells. It suppresses tumor cell growth through specific signaling pathways. It calms chemo-related digestive side effects. It helps regulate lipid metabolism. So, why doesn't your doctor just tell you to eat more turmeric? Because curcumin has a brutal flaw. Your body barely absorbs it. It's hydrophobic, it dissolves poorly, and your liver clears it almost as fast as you take it in. There's a workaround. Black pepper. Piperine boosts curcumin absorption dramatically. But that same mechanism blocks your liver's ability to clear other drugs, which means turmeric and pepper combos can push other medications to dangerous levels in your blood. High doses are also linked to kidney stones and increased bleeding risk on blood thinners like warfarin. This is a pattern you'll see again and again on this list. It's not that the plant doesn't work. It's that nature didn't package it for predictable dosing. Real medicine, just not one your bloodstream will cooperate with. Number 2, white willow, the original aspirin. Here's the one I promised you. White willow bark has been used for thousands of years across Sumeria, Egypt, and Greece as a pain reliever and fever reducer. Its active compound, salicin, gets converted in your liver to salicylic acid, the same family of compound that became the basis for aspirin. Here's the twist worth sitting with. Willow bark contains salicin alongside natural polyphenols that buffer some of the stomach irritation you'd otherwise expect. But to match the pain-relieving strength of a standard aspirin tablet using crude willow bark, you'd need enough raw salicin that the gastric irritation and bleeding risk become a real problem anyway. In 1897, a Bayer chemistry team synthesized acetyl salicylic acid aspirin, creating something milder and more consistent than the raw bark dose for dose. Worth knowing, exactly who deserves credit for that breakthrough is still disputed by historians. One of the researchers involved was later written out of the record entirely, a controversy that's its own strange footnote. So willow bark isn't a secret cure pharma hid from you. It's the actual prototype for one of the most important drugs in history. Not a hidden cure. The actual rough draft. That's the gentle version of this story. Later on, you'll see what happens when the rough draft problem isn't bitterness or absorption. It's a dose that kills. Number 3. Ashwagandha, the stress shield. Ashwagandha has anchored Ayurvedic medicine for centuries, an adaptogen, something that helps your body handle stress more efficiently. The modern research is genuinely encouraging. Randomized controlled trials show daily ashwagandha extract can meaningfully reduce stress and anxiety scores, lower morning cortisol, and improve sleep quality. There's even evidence it improves male reproductive markers, sperm motility, testosterone. So why isn't this prescribed? 2 words: long-term data. We don't have solid safety information beyond a few months of continuous use. And there are emerging case reports of liver injury and thyroid disruption. It's also a clear no for pregnant women risk of uterine contractions and for men with hormone-sensitive prostate cancer. Solid short-term evidence. It's what happens after month 3 that nobody's tracked yet. And speaking of what happens when a plant's edge cases turn serious, next up is the one where the edge case is fatal. Number 4, foxglove, the plant that built cardiology and can kill you. Pay close attention. This is where ancient medicine stops being charming and starts being genuinely dangerous. In 1785, British physician William Withering published case studies showing foxglove could treat dropsy, what we now call congestive heart failure. The active compounds, digoxin and digitoxin, alter the sodium-potassium pump in heart muscle cells, increasing the heart's contraction force while slowing it down. This is real important medicine. Digoxin is still used today for atrial fibrillation and heart failure. But here's the part that matters. Foxglove has one of the narrowest safety margins of any substance on this entire list. The dose that helps you and the dose that stops your heart in a fatal arrhythmia are close enough that raw, unstandardized foxglove is never used in modern medicine. Every dose of digoxin you'd actually receive is a precisely measured, lab-purified tablet monitored with regular blood tests. This is not a grow-it-in-your-backyard herb. This is the clearest proof on this list that isolating and standardizing a compound can be the difference between medicine and a fatal accident. Real medicine. Just not survivable without a lab standing between you and the dose. If you're seeing how much of this history nobody teaches you, hit that like button now. It genuinely helps this reach people who want the real science, not just hype. Number 5. St. John's Wort, the mood plant with a catch. Out of every herb on this list, St. John's Wort has the strongest clinical evidence behind it. Multiple systematic reviews found it effective for mild to moderate depression efficacy, comparable to low-dose tricyclics and SSRIs. So why won't a psychiatrist hand you a bottle? Because the same compound that makes it work hyperforeign turns your liver into an overactive drug-clearing machine. It activates a receptor that ramps up enzymes, and those enzymes break down dozens of other medications faster than they should. The real-world consequences are severe. St. John's Wort can cut the effectiveness of the immunosuppressant cyclosporine so dramatically it risks organ transplant rejection. It can drop the anti-rejection drug tacrolimus from a safe range straight into dangerous territory. It undermines oral contraceptives, blood thinners like warfarin, and antiretroviral HIV medications. Combined with conventional antidepressants, it can trigger serotonin syndrome, a medical emergency. Genuinely effective. Also one of the most dangerous things you could combine with a prescription without your doctor knowing. Number 6. Ginkgo, the memory tree. Ginkgo biloba leaf extract has been used for age-related cognitive decline and circulatory issues. Large studies on vascular cognitive impairment show modest but measurable improvements in cognitive and functional scores compared to placebo. But here's the catch. One of its active compounds, ginkgolide B, blocks the receptors that trigger blood platelets to clump together, useful for circulation. Genuinely risky if you're already on a blood thinner, where the interaction has been linked to a meaningfully higher rate of serious bleeding events. It doesn't even hold up for everyone. Long-term studies found no benefit for ordinary memory complaints in healthy people. A real narrow use case and a real interaction risk. That's why most doctors avoid the gamble entirely. Number 7. Opium, poppy, pain relief, with the oldest warning label in medicine. The opium poppy's medicinal use goes back to ancient Sumeria and Egypt, where its raw latex treated severe pain and diarrhea. The compounds responsible morphine and codeine bind to opioid receptors in your brain. They remain some of the most effective pain relievers ever discovered. But raw opium has a problem you can't engineer around. Alkaloid concentration in the crude latex is wildly inconsistent that makes safe dosing essentially impossible. Combine that with an extreme risk of dependence and the real danger of fatal respiratory depression, and you get a plant modern medicine deliberately replaced. Not because the chemistry stopped working, because purified, standardized morphine and codeine let doctors give a precise, monitored dose instead of gambling on what's actually in the leaf. Real medicine, just not survivable in its raw form. 2 more plants on this list carry that same warning label. One of them might be in a supplement bottle in your bathroom right now. This is the point where I genuinely appreciate like it tells YouTube to show this to more people who want the real story instead of the hype version. Number 8. Feverfew, the migraine gamble. Feverfew has centuries of traditional use for fevers, arthritis, and headaches. Modern researchers zeroed in on it for migraine prevention specifically. Its active compound, parthenolide, blocks an inflammatory signaling pathway and reduces serotonin-driven blood vessel contractions. Here's the problem. The clinical results are a coin flip. One meta-analysis found feverfew meaningfully reduced migraine frequency and duration. Other well-designed trials found no real difference from placebo at all. Why? Parthenolide content varies wildly from one commercial batch to the next. You genuinely don't know what dose you're getting. And if you stop taking it abruptly, after regular use, you can get post-feverfew withdrawal syndrome, rebound headaches, stiff muscles, fatigue, joint pain. A herb where the science is real, but the bottle is a gamble. Number 9. Valerian, the sleep herb that splits the data. Valerian root is one of the most widely used traditional sleep aids in the world. Its sedative compounds genuinely interact with the same brain receptors anti-anxiety medications target enhancing their calming, inhibitory effect. But look at the actual data, and it's contradictory. Reviews of patient-reported sleep quality show real improvement. But when researchers used objective measurements, actual sleep lab monitoring, there was no statistically significant difference from placebo. Translation: people feel like it works. The machines measuring their brain activity don't agree. A perception versus data gap wide enough that no clinical guideline will stand behind it. Number 10. Milk thistle, the liver herb nature packaged wrong. Milk thistle has one of the longest histories of any liver remedy traditionally used for inflammatory liver disease, hepatitis, jaundice. The active complex, silymarin, genuinely behaves like a powerful antioxidant in lab studies, stabilizing liver cell membranes with real antifibrotic activity. So, what's stopping your doctor from recommending the raw herb? Absorption. Standard milk thistle extract is absorbed so poorly and inconsistently that researchers couldn't get reliable therapeutic levels into the bloodstream using the crude plant. The fix took chemistry, binding the active compound to phosphatidylcholine to create a psilocybin phytosome. That engineered version shows real reductions in liver enzymes and genuine promise for fatty liver disease and viral hepatitis. The plant had the idea. Chemistry had to finish the sentence. Number 11. Black cohosh, the menopause herb with a hidden risk. Black cohosh has long been used for menopausal hot flashes and painful menstruation. There's real human trial evidence that standardized extracts can meaningfully ease vasomotor symptoms, sometimes rivaling hormone therapy. Here's the serious catch. Black cohosh has been linked to documented cases of acute liver injury ranging from elevated liver enzymes all the way to liver failure requiring transplant. Making this worse, lab testing has repeatedly found commercial black cohosh supplements adulterated with cheaper, related Chinese species plants that may carry their own uncharacterized, potentially liver-damaging compounds. So even when the core herb shows real promise, the combination of rare but severe liver risk and a contaminated supply chain is exactly why no physician will officially put it on a prescription pad. Real medicine. Just not survivable when you don't know what's actually in the bottle. Number 12. Astragalus, the tonic without the proof. In traditional Chinese medicine, astragalus is an energy and immune tonic used to support healing and strengthen the body's defenses. Lab research backs up some intriguing mechanisms: preserving mitochondrial function, reducing oxidative stress, supporting telomere protection in cell studies. But here's the honest gap. When researchers tested astragalus as an add-on treatment for stroke recovery, the functional improvements were modest at best. It failed to significantly lower inflammatory markers like CRP in human trials. Most of the supporting research is small-scale, with a real risk of bias. Interesting cell biology. The human-level proof just isn't there yet. Number 13. Holy basil. Tulsi, the sacred elixir. In Ayurveda, Tulsi is treated almost reverently an elixir of life used for respiratory illness, gastric distress, skin conditions. Its active compounds, including eugenol and rosmarinic acid, show strong antioxidant and anti-inflammatory activity in lab and small clinical studies, including improvements in blood glucose and lipid profiles in diabetic patients. The barrier here isn't safety, it's scale. There simply aren't enough large, rigorous human trials to satisfy clinical guidelines. And Tulsi can interact with diabetes medications, blood thinners, and sedatives by affecting the same metabolic pathways those drugs rely on. Not a safety problem. A homework problem nobody's finished. Number 14. Asian ginseng, the 2,000-year-old tonic. Revered for over 2,000 years across East Asia, Panax ginseng is one of the most studied adaptogens on Earth. The clinical results genuinely impress in places reduced fatigue in cancer survivors, improved blood sugar after meals, better outcomes in stroke patients when paired with standard treatment. The catch is methodological. Most trials use small groups, short time frames, and inconsistent dosing standards, which makes it hard to build a single, confident guideline. Side effects are usually mild: insomnia, hot flashes, upset stomach. But rare, serious reactions have been documented, including vaginal bleeding and, in isolated cases, severe psychiatric or allergic reactions. 2,000 years of use. Still not enough clean data to write a guideline. If you've made it this far, drop a comment telling me which one of these surprised you most. I read everyone, and it genuinely shapes what we cover next. Number 15. Ginger, the anti-inflammatory workhorse. Let's end where most people actually encounter this stuff: the kitchen. Ginger has thousands of years of use across Ayurvedic and Chinese medicine: pain, digestive trouble, respiratory illness. Its compounds, gingerols and shogols, genuinely block several of the same inflammatory pathways pharmaceutical anti-inflammatories target. Clinical trials back a lot of this up. Daily ginger supplementation lowers inflammatory markers. It improves blood sugar control in type 2 diabetes. It's genuinely effective against nausea in pregnancy, rivaling some conventional treatments there. But it's inconsistent elsewhere. It hasn't shown benefit for chemotherapy-induced nausea. And it has real anti-clotting effects, raising bleeding risk if you're already on blood thinners. Filed as a dietary recommendation, not a prescription, mostly because the data genuinely depends on what you're treating. In closing, so here's what 15 herbs and thousands of years of recorded use actually tells us. Ancient physicians weren't wrong. Many of them were remarkably right about what worked. Willow bark really does relieve pain. Foxglove really does help a failing heart. St. John's wort really does treat depression. 15 plants, 15 real mechanisms, 15 genuine pieces of medical history. That part was never the myth. Here's the part almost nobody explains to you. The real reason your doctor won't hand you the raw plant almost never comes down to suppression. It comes down to one of 4 things, repeated again and again on this list. The dose is impossible to standardize. The safety margin is too narrow. The interactions with other drugs are too dangerous to risk without monitoring. Or the one nobody puts in a 5-minute explanation, no company can patent a root. So no company funds the decades and hundreds of millions of dollars it takes to run the trials that prove it's safe at scale. That last one is real. It's the missing piece most people never get told. Under U.S. law. Since 1994, herbal supplements are legally classified as food, not drugs. So the FDA can't require the same testing it requires for pharmaceuticals before they reach a shelf. Most people assume that gap means herbal medicine is hiding something from them. It's actually the opposite. It's a regulatory blind spot that lets unverified products reach you with far less scrutiny than a prescription ever gets. The ephedra disaster of the late 1990s linked to well over 100 deaths before it was finally pulled from shelves, is the clearest proof of how that blind spot cuts against you, not for you. So now you know something most people watching plant medicine content never get told. Not which 15 herbs are secretly powerful. Anyone can list that. Why the gap between ancient use and modern prescribing exists in the first place. Foxglove, opium, black cohosh, those aren't cover-ups. They're proof that ancient physicians found something real, and 3 centuries of chemistry spent figuring out how to make it survivable. Subscribe if you want more of these separating real evidence from myth, herb by herb, and drop a comment telling me which plant on this list surprised you the most. I read every one.